Michael and Laura were excited as they prepared to attend their 35-year college reunion at Harvard University. Both in their late 50s, they had maintained a strong and loving marriage for 26 years. They had met in college and had been inseparable since. This reunion was not just a chance to reconnect with old friends, but also to celebrate their enduring love story, which had its roots in those very halls. As they walked into the grand ballroom of the reunion venue in Boston, Michael couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He and Laura were one of the few couples who had met in college and stayed together all these years. The room was abuzz with laughter and chatter, filled with familiar faces and some that had aged beyond recognition. The atmosphere was lively, with a band playing nostalgic tunes from their college days. They greeted friends and reminisced about their youth, sharing stories and laughs. Michael felt a wave of nostalgia as he looked around the room, remembering the carefree days of their youth. He spotted Karen, their close friend from college, and they exchanged warm hugs and pleasantries. Karen had been a constant in their lives, and seeing her brought back a flood of memories. Just as they were settling into the evening, an unexpected face appeared in the crowd. Jacob, an old admirer of Laura, approached them. Michael's heart skipped a beat as he remembered Jacob's persistent pursuit of Laura during their college years. Jacob had always admired Laura, but she had chosen Michael, and they had lost touch with Jacob after graduation. Jacob greeted them warmly, but Michael could sense an underlying tension in his demeanor. Laura smiled politely, but Michael noticed a flicker of discomfort in her eyes. Jacob took a seat across from Laura, and his intense gaze unsettled her. Trying to ease the tension, Michael asked if Jacob had brought his family to the reunion. Jacob's response was unexpected. "No, I am single now. I was briefly married, but it didn't work out." He looked directly at Michael, his eyes filled with a mix of bitterness and nostalgia. "Well, you should be sorry, Michael. After all, you stole my love." Michael was taken aback by the statement. He had always thought Jacob had moved on, but it seemed the past still haunted him. Laura remained silent, her discomfort growing. Karen, sensing the tension, took Laura aside to calm her down, while Michael tried to keep the conversation light. The evening continued, but the mood had shifted. Michael kept a close eye on Laura and Jacob, noticing that Jacob was whispering something to Laura, who responded with a forced smile and a nod. Michael's mind raced with questions, but he hoped it was nothing to worry about. However, after about an hour, he realized that both Laura and Karen were missing. Initially, he didn't think much of it, but as time passed and they didn't return, he began to worry. He searched the venue, growing increasingly concerned. He tried calling Laura, but she didn't answer. After what felt like an eternity, Laura finally reappeared, but something seemed off. She was quiet and reserved, urging Michael to leave the event. Michael's concern grew as they left the reunion. During the drive home, Laura remained silent, her demeanor completely changed. He asked her repeatedly what was wrong, but she only said she was tired and needed rest. Michael couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. He decided to give her space, hoping she would open up in time. That night, as they lay in bed, Michael couldn't sleep. He replayed the events of the evening in his mind, trying to make sense of Laura's behavior. Just as he was drifting off, Laura woke him up, sobbing uncontrollably. Michael held her close, comforting her as best as he could. She finally confessed that she had cheated on him with Jacob that night at the reunion. Michael was speechless. He felt a mix of anger, hurt, and disbelief. The woman he had loved and trusted for so many years had betrayed him. He listened in stunned silence as Laura explained how Jacob had charmed her, exploiting the nostalgic atmosphere and her vulnerability. She had given in to his advances, and they had shared an intimate moment. The confession shattered Michael. He felt like his entire world had crumbled. He couldn't understand how Laura could have done this to him. The memories of their life together, their children, and their shared dreams all seemed tainted by her betrayal. He needed time to process everything, so he asked Laura to let him be alone for a while. Laura continued to cry and beg for forgiveness, but Michael couldn't find the words to respond. He was too overwhelmed by the pain. He stayed up the rest of the night, trying to come to terms with what had happened. By morning, he had made up his mind. He couldn't stay in the same house as Laura, at least not for the time being. He packed a bag with his essentials and left for a hotel. As he drove away from their home, he felt a mix of sorrow and anger. He knew he needed space to think clearly and decide on the next steps. Their children, Ethan and Olivia, would need to be informed, but he wasn't ready to face that conversation just yet. As he settled into the hotel, Michael felt the weight of the situation pressing down on him. The woman he had loved and trusted had broken his heart, and he didn't know if their relationship could ever be repaired. He spent the day in a daze, trying to gather his thoughts and plan his next move. Michael knew that the coming days would be some of the hardest of his life. He would have to confront Laura again, speak to their children, and decide on the future of their marriage. But for now, all he could do was try to process the overwhelming emotions and find some semblance of peace in the midst of the chaos. The next morning, Michael woke up in the hotel room with a heavy heart. The reality of the previous night's events weighed on him like a lead blanket. He had hoped that a good night's sleep might bring some clarity, but the pain and confusion were still raw. He knew he couldn't hide away forever. There were too many things that needed to be addressed. Michael decided to start by informing their son, Ethan. Ethan was 24 and had always been the more mature and level-headed of their two children. Michael hoped that Ethan could help him navigate the turbulent waters ahead. He picked up his phone and called Ethan, who answered almost immediately. "Hey, Dad, what's up?" Ethan's voice was cheerful, completely unaware of the storm brewing. Michael took a deep breath. "Ethan, I need to talk to you about something serious. Can you meet me at the hotel? It is important." The tone of Michael's voice must have conveyed the gravity of the situation because Ethan agreed without hesitation. "Sure, Dad. I'll be there as soon as I can." Michael hung up and sat back, trying to gather his thoughts. He needed to explain everything to Ethan without breaking down. He also needed to think about Olivia. She was still in college and much more sensitive. The last thing he wanted was to cause her unnecessary pain, but she deserved to know the truth as well. A couple of hours later, Ethan arrived at the hotel. He knocked on the door and Michael let him in, bracing himself for the difficult conversation ahead. Ethan took one look at his father's face and knew something was terribly wrong. "Dad, what's going on?" "You look like you haven't slept at all," Ethan said, concern etched on his face. Michael gestured for Ethan to sit down. "It is about your mother," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "Last night, at the reunion, she confessed to having an affair with Jacob." Ethan's eyes widened in shock. "What? Mom cheated on you with Jacob? The guy who used to stalk her in college?" Michael nodded, struggling to maintain his composure. "Yes. She admitted it to me after we got home. I couldn't stay in the house, Ethan. I needed some time to process everything." Ethan was silent for a moment, processing the information. "I can't believe this. Mom always seemed so devoted to you. Why would she do something like this?" Michael shook his head. "I don't know, Ethan. She said she was influenced by the atmosphere and Jacob's persistence, but it doesn't change the fact that she betrayed me." Ethan leaned forward, his expression serious. "What are you going to do, Dad? Are you going to confront her again?" "I don't know yet," Michael admitted. "I need to figure out what is best for all of us, especially for you and Olivia. Speaking of Olivia, I haven't told her yet. I don't want to upset her while she's still in college, but she needs to know the truth eventually." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. "I'll help you talk to her, Dad. She deserves to know, but we need to approach it carefully. We should probably give her some time to process it, just like you needed." Michael felt a wave of gratitude towards his son. "Thank you, Ethan. Your support means a lot to me right now." As they continued to discuss the situation, Michael felt a small sense of relief. Sharing the burden with Ethan made it slightly more bearable. They agreed to wait a few days before talking to Olivia, giving Michael some time to think about his next steps. Meanwhile, back at the house, Laura was in a state of despair. She had spent the night crying and calling Michael repeatedly, but he hadn't answered. She felt the weight of her actions crushing her, and the guilt was overwhelming. She knew she had made a terrible mistake, but she didn't know how to fix it. Karen came over to check on Laura, finding her in a disheveled state. "Laura, you need to pull yourself together. Sitting here and crying won't solve anything," Karen said gently but firmly. Laura looked up at her friend, her eyes red and swollen. "I've ruined everything, Karen. Michael will never forgive me. I don't know what to do." Karen sat down beside her and took her hand. "You need to give Michael some space. He is hurt and needs time to process everything. But you also need to think about how to make amends. It won't be easy, but you owe it to him to try." Laura nodded, wiping her tears. "I know. I just don't know where to start." Karen offered a comforting smile. "Start by taking care of yourself. You need to be strong for when the time comes to face Michael again. And remember, you still have Ethan and Olivia. They need you too." As Karen helped Laura compose herself, Michael and Ethan continued their conversation. They discussed the legal and financial implications of a potential separation, knowing that it would be a long and painful process. Michael decided to consult with a lawyer to understand his options better. Over the next few days, Michael met with a divorce attorney who outlined the steps he needed to take if he decided to proceed with a divorce. The attorney also advised him to inform Olivia as soon as possible, emphasizing the importance of honesty and transparency with his children. Michael and Ethan prepared for the difficult conversation with Olivia. They decided to visit her at her college in Boston, hoping that a face-to-face discussion would be more compassionate than a phone call. When they arrived, Olivia was thrilled to see them, but her happiness quickly turned to concern when she saw the serious expressions on their faces. "Dad, Ethan, what is going on? Is something wrong?" Olivia asked, her voice tinged with worry. Michael took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. "Olivia, we need to talk about something very serious. It's about your mother." As they sat down, Michael carefully explained the situation, choosing his words with great care. He told Olivia about the reunion, Laura's encounter with Jacob, and the subsequent confession. Olivia listened in stunned silence, tears streaming down her face. "Mom did that? I can't believe it," Olivia whispered, her voice shaking. "Why would she do something like that to you, to us?" Michael held her hand, his heart breaking at the sight of her pain. "I don't know, sweetheart, but I want you to know that none of this is your fault. Your mother made a mistake, and now we have to figure out how to move forward." Ethan added, "We are here for you, Olivia. We'll get through this together." As the three of them sat together, supporting each other through the emotional turmoil, Michael felt a glimmer of hope. Despite the betrayal and the pain, they were a family, and they would face the challenges ahead together. Back at the house, Laura continued to grapple with her guilt and the consequences of her actions. She knew that rebuilding trust with Michael and her children would be an uphill battle, but she was determined to try. She began seeing a therapist to work through her emotions and understand why she had made such a devastating choice. As days turned into weeks, Michael found some solace in his children as support. He continued to stay at the hotel, focusing on his work and trying to regain a sense of normalcy. However, the pain of Laura's betrayal was always lurking in the background, a constant reminder of the life he had lost. The tension between Michael and Laura remained palpable, but they both knew that avoiding each other forever was not an option. Eventually, they would have to confront their past and decide on their future. Until then, Michael focused on healing and finding a way to move forward, one day at a time. Michael spent the next few days in a daze, grappling with the reality of Laura's betrayal. He oscillated between anger and sadness, feeling the weight of the years they had spent together, the life they had built, and the family they had raised. He knew he couldn't stay in this limbo forever, but the path forward was shrouded in uncertainty. During this time, Laura was in turmoil. She reached out to Michael repeatedly, leaving voicemails and texts, but he didn't respond. She felt like she was losing her mind, consumed by guilt and regret. Karen had been a pillar of support, but Laura knew she had to face Michael eventually. One evening, after much contemplation, Michael decided to confront Laura and demand the full truth. He couldn't move on without understanding what had driven her to betray him. He called her and arranged to meet at a nearby cafe, a neutral ground where they could talk without the oppressive weight of their home. When Laura arrived, she looked worn and anxious. She sat across from Michael, her eyes filled with remorse. Michael felt a pang of sadness seeing her like this, but he steeled himself for the conversation ahead. "Laura, I need to know everything," Michael began, his voice steady but firm. "I need to understand why you did this." Laura nodded, her hands trembling slightly as she took a sip of her coffee. "I owe you the truth, Michael. I've been thinking about this constantly, and I know there's no excuse for what I did." She took a deep breath and began to recount the events of the reunion in detail. "When Jacob approached me at the reunion, I felt a mix of emotions, nostalgia, curiosity, and something else I couldn't quite place. He was persistent, and as the night went on, I found myself drawn to the memories of our college days. He said all the right things, played on my emotions, and I let my guard down." Michael listened intently, his heart aching with each word. "But why, Laura? After all these years, why now?" Laura's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know, Michael. Maybe it was the alcohol, the atmosphere, or just a moment of weakness. I felt flattered by his attention, and before I knew it, I was caught up in the moment. We left the reunion to talk in private, and things escalated from there. I'm so sorry, Michael. I can't believe I let this happen." Michael felt a wave of anger and hurt wash over him. "And what about our family, Laura? Did you think about Ethan and Olivia? About me?" Laura sobbed, her shoulders shaking. "I didn't think. I was selfish and stupid. I never wanted to hurt you or our children. I regret it more than I can say." Michael sat back, taking in her words. The betrayal cut deep, but seeing Laura's genuine remorse also tugged at his heart. He struggled with conflicting emotions, unsure of what to say next. After a long silence, Michael spoke again. "I need time, Laura. This isn't something I can just forgive and forget. We need to figure out what is best for everyone involved, especially our children." Laura nodded, wiping her tears. "I understand. I'll do whatever it takes to make amends, Michael. I just want you to know how deeply sorry I am." Michael sighed, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on him. "We'll take it one step at a time. For now, I think it is best if we stay apart and give each other space to think." Laura agreed, and they parted ways, each lost in their own thoughts. The road ahead was uncertain, but Michael knew that the first step was understanding the full extent of what had happened and deciding how to move forward. As days turned into weeks, Michael threw himself into his work, trying to find some semblance of normalcy. He met with his lawyer regularly to discuss the potential separation and how to protect the interests of their children. The legal discussions were draining, but they provided a distraction from the emotional turmoil. Ethan continued to support his father, often visiting the hotel and helping him navigate the complexities of their situation. Olivia, on the other hand, was struggling to come to terms with the truth. She had always looked up to her parents as the perfect couple, and the revelation of her mother's affair shattered that image. One weekend, Ethan and Michael decided it was time to visit Olivia at her college and have a follow-up conversation. They needed to ensure she was coping and offer their support. When they arrived, Olivia greeted them with a forced smile, trying to mask her sadness. "Hey, Dad. Ethan, it's good to see you," she said, her voice betraying her true feelings. Michael hugged her tightly. "How are you holding up, sweetheart?" Olivia shrugged, her eyes brimming with tears. "I'm trying, Dad. It's just so hard to process everything. I can't believe Mom did this." Ethan stepped in, offering a comforting hand on her shoulder. "We're here for you, Olivia. We'll get through this together, as a family." They spent the afternoon talking, with Michael and Ethan reassuring Olivia that they would support her through this difficult time. They emphasized that despite the betrayal, they were still a family and would face the challenges ahead together. Meanwhile, Laura continued her therapy sessions, trying to understand her actions and work through her guilt. She knew rebuilding trust with Michael and her children would be a long and arduous process, but she was determined to try. She also started reaching out to old friends and family members, seeking their support and understanding. One evening, Michael received an unexpected call from Karen. She sounded concerned and asked to meet him in person. Intrigued and slightly worried, Michael agreed. When they met at a local park, Karen didn't waste any time getting to the point. "Michael, I've been talking to Laura, and there's something you need to know. She's not just dealing with guilt. She's also facing pressure from Jacob." Michael's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Karen sighed. "Jacob has been contacting Laura, trying to manipulate her. He's been saying things that make her feel even worse, like she owes him something. It's really affecting her mental state." Michael felt a surge of anger. "That bastard. He's already done enough damage. I want to let him mess with her mind anymore." Karen nodded. "I thought you should know. Laura's really struggling, and she needs all the support she can get." Michael thanked Karen for the information and promised to look into it. The revelation added another layer of complexity to the situation. He hated the idea of Jacob having any influence over Laura, but he also needed to protect himself and his children. As he drove back to the hotel, Michael's mind raced with thoughts. He decided it was time to confront Jacob and put an end to his manipulations. He couldn't let this man continue to wreak havoc on their lives. The next day, Michael tracked down Jacob's contact information and called him. "Jacob, we need to talk. Meet me at the cafe on Elm Street tomorrow at noon." Jacob's voice was smug. "Sure, Michael, I'll be there." The following day, Michael arrived at the cafe early, determined to keep his composure. When Jacob walked in, Michael felt a surge of anger but forced himself to stay calm. "Michael, it's good to see you," Jacob said, a sly grin on his face. "Cut the crap, Jacob. I know you've been contacting Laura and trying to manipulate her. It stops now," Michael said, his voice steady but firm. Jacob's grin faded slightly. "I don't know what you're talking about. Laura and I have a history, and we are just talking." "Talking? You've been feeding her guilt and making her feel worse about what happened. I won't stand for it. Stay away from her, or I'll make sure you regret it," Michael warned. Jacob leaned back, his expression challenging. "And what are you going to do about it, Michael? You're just a broken man trying to salvage what's left of his life." Michael's eyes narrowed. "You don't know me, Jacob. And you don't get to mess with my family. This is your final warning. Stay away from Laura, or you'll have to deal with me." Jacob smirked but didn't respond. Michael stood up, feeling a sense of resolve. He had made his position clear, and now it was up to Jacob to decide how to proceed. As Michael left the cafe, he felt a mix of emotions. Confronting Jacob had been necessary, but it also reminded him of the fragile state of his marriage and family. He knew that the road to healing would be long and difficult, but he was determined to protect his loved ones and find a way forward. In the weeks that followed, Michael and Laura continued to navigate their new reality. They attended family therapy sessions, trying to rebuild some semblance of trust and communication. It wasn't easy, but there were small moments of progress that gave Michael hope. Through it all, Michael remained focused on his children. He spent more time with Ethan and Olivia, strengthening their bond and ensuring they felt supported. He also started to open up to them about his own feelings, sharing his pain and uncertainty. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, Olivia spoke up. "Dad, do you think you and Mom will ever get back together?" Michael sighed, considering his words carefully. "I don't know, Olivia. Right now, we're taking things one day at a time. What is most important is that we all support each other and work through this as a family." Ethan nodded in agreement. "We were here for you, Dad. Whatever happens, we'll get through it together." As Michael looked at his children, he felt a glimmer of hope. Despite the betrayal and the pain, they were still a family. And as long as they had each other, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. Michael returned to his hotel room after his confrontation with Jacob, feeling a mixture of relief and frustration. He had stood up for himself and his family, but the encounter had also reopened wounds that were far from healing. He knew that the next steps would be crucial in determining the future of his relationship with Laura and their children. The following morning, Michael decided it was time to move forward with the legal process. He contacted his lawyer and scheduled a meeting to discuss the details of the divorce. As he prepared for the meeting, he felt a sense of determination. It was painful, but he knew it was the right decision for his own well-being and for the future of his children. At the lawyer's office, Michael went over the logistics of the separation. They discussed the division of assets, custody arrangements, and the impact on their children. The lawyer was thorough and empathetic, understanding the emotional weight of the situation. Michael appreciated the clarity and support, even as the reality of the divorce became more concrete. After the meeting, Michael called Ethan to update him on the proceedings. "Ethan, I met with the lawyer today. We are moving forward with the divorce. I want to make sure you and Olivia are taken care of, and that we handle this as smoothly as possible." Ethan sighed on the other end of the line. "I understand, Dad. It's tough, but I know you're doing what you think is best. How is Mom handling everything?" Michael hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. "She's struggling, Ethan. Karen told me that Jacob has been trying to manipulate her, making things even harder. I am worried about her, but I also need to focus on us right now." Ethan's voice was resolute. "We'll get through this, Dad. Just let us know if there's anything we can do to help." Michael felt a surge of gratitude for his son's maturity and support. "Thank you, Ethan. That means a lot to me." Meanwhile, Laura was sinking deeper into despair. She felt the weight of her actions crushing her, and the pressure from Jacob was only making things worse. She had started seeing a therapist, but progress was slow. Her nights were filled with restless sleep and nightmares, and her days were consumed by regret and guilt. Karen continued to be a supportive presence, visiting Laura regularly and encouraging her to stay strong. "Laura, you cannot let Jacob control you. You need to focus on your own healing and your relationship with Michael and the kids." Laura nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know, Karen, but it's so hard. I feel like I've lost everything." Karen hugged her tightly. "You haven't lost everything. Michael and the kids are still here. You just need to take it one step at a time." Despite Karen's support, Laura felt increasingly isolated. She knew that rebuilding trust with Michael and their children would be a monumental task, but she was determined to try. She reached out to Ethan and Olivia, asking to meet with them and discuss the situation. Ethan and Olivia agreed to meet their mother, but they were apprehensive. They loved her, but they were also hurt and confused by her actions. When they arrived at the house, Laura greeted them with a mixture of relief and anxiety. "Thank you for coming," Laura said, her voice trembling. "I know I've hurt you both, and I'm so sorry. I want to make things right, but I need your help and understanding." Olivia spoke first, her voice filled with emotion. "Mom, we love you, but what you did, it broke our hearts. How could you do this to Dad, to us?" Laura's eyes filled with tears. "I don't have a good answer, Olivia. I made a terrible mistake and I regret it every day. I just want a chance to make amends and rebuild our relationship." Ethan nodded, his expression serious. "It's going to take time, Mom. We need to see that you are committed to changing and healing. We are here for you, but it's not going to be easy." Laura wiped her tears and took a deep breath. "I understand. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I have started seeing a therapist, and I'm trying to work through my issues. I just hope you can find it in your hearts to forgive me someday." The conversation was emotionally charged, but it marked the beginning of a long and difficult journey toward healing. Ethan and Olivia left the house feeling a mix of hope and uncertainty. They wanted to believe in their mother's sincerity, but the wounds were still fresh. Back at the hotel, Michael received a call from his lawyer. "Michael, we've filed the initial paperwork for the divorce. Laura will be served the papers within the next few days. It's important that you prepare yourself for her reaction." Michael thanked the lawyer and hung up, feeling a sense of finality. He knew that this was just the beginning of a long and challenging process, but he was determined to see it through. That evening, Michael called Olivia to check on her. "Hey, sweetheart, how did things go with your mom?" Olivia sighed. "It was tough, Dad. She's really struggling. But she seemed sincere about wanting to make amends. Ethan and I told her that it's going to take time and that we need to see her commitment to change." Michael nodded, feeling a mix of pride and sadness. "You two are handling this better than I could have hoped. Just remember that it is okay to feel hurt and confused. We'll get through this together." In the following weeks, Michael continued to focus on his work and his children. He spent more time with Ethan and Olivia, strengthening their bond and ensuring they felt supported. He also began to reconnect with old friends and family members, seeking their advice and support. One weekend, Michael decided to visit his sister, Rachel, who lived in a nearby town. Rachel had always been a source of comfort and wisdom, and Michael needed her guidance now more than ever. When he arrived at her house, Rachel greeted him with a warm hug. "Michael, it's so good to see you. I have been worried about you," Rachel said, her eyes filled with concern. Michael smiled weakly. "It's been a tough few months, Rachel. I am trying to navigate this mess and figure out what comes next." They sat down in the living room and Michael poured out his heart to his sister. He told her about Laura's betrayal, the confrontation with Jacob, and the ongoing divorce proceedings. Rachel listened attentively, offering words of comfort and encouragement. "Michael, you're stronger than you think. It's clear that you're doing everything you can to support Ethan and Olivia, and that's what matters most. Just take it one day at a time and don't to be afraid to lean on those who care about you," Rachel said, squeezing his hand. Michael felt a sense of relief wash over him. "Thank you, Rachel. Your support means the world to me." As the weeks turned into months, the divorce proceedings moved forward. Laura struggled with the reality of the separation, but she remained committed to her therapy and to mending her relationship with her children. She and Michael began to communicate more openly, discussing the logistics of their separation and the well-being of Ethan and Olivia. One afternoon, Michael received a call from Laura. Her voice was tentative but determined. "Michael, I've been thinking a lot about everything, and I want to suggest something. I know we can go back to how things were, but maybe we can find a way to move forward as co-parents and friends, for the sake of our children." Michael was taken aback by her suggestion. He paused, considering her words. "I appreciate that, Laura. It is going to take time, but I am willing to try. Our children deserve our best effort." They agreed to attend co-parenting sessions together, hoping to build a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. It was a challenging process, filled with emotional ups and downs, but both Michael and Laura were committed to making it work. Through the sessions, they began to find common ground. They discussed their hopes for Ethan and Olivia, shared memories of happier times, and worked on rebuilding trust. It wasn't easy, and there were moments of tension and pain, but there were also glimpses of hope. One evening, after a particularly productive session, Michael and Laura sat outside the therapist's office, talking quietly. Laura looked at Michael, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and regret. "Thank you for giving this a chance, Michael. I know it's not easy, but it means a lot to me," Laura said softly. Michael nodded. "It's not just for you, Laura. It is for our children and for ourselves. We owe it to them to try and find some peace." As they parted ways that evening, Michael felt a sense of cautious optimism. The road ahead was still uncertain, but they were making progress, one step at a time. As the months passed, Michael continued to rebuild his life. He focused on his work, spent quality time with Ethan and Olivia, and reconnected with old friends. He also started to explore new hobbies and interests, finding joy in small moments of everyday life. Laura, too, was making strides in her own journey. She continued her therapy, worked on mending her relationships with her children, and began to rebuild her sense of self-worth. She knew that regaining Michael's trust would be a long and challenging process, but she was determined to try. One evening, Michael received an unexpected call from an old college friend, Megan. They had reconnected briefly at the reunion, and Megan had heard about the situation from mutual friends. She offered a listening ear and words of encouragement, and they soon found themselves talking regularly. As they talked, Michael felt a sense of connection and comfort. Megan had gone through her own challenges and offered a unique perspective on healing and moving forward. They shared stories, laughed, and supported each other through their respective journeys. In time, Michael and Megan's friendship blossomed into something more. They took things slowly, valuing the deep emotional connection they were building. For the first time in a long while, Michael felt a sense of hope and excitement about the future. One weekend, Michael invited Megan to join him and his children for a day out. Ethan and Olivia were initially apprehensive, but they quickly warmed to Megan's kind and genuine nature. They spent the day exploring a local park, enjoying a picnic, and sharing stories. As the sun set, Michael looked at his children and Megan, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. The road to this moment had been filled with pain and uncertainty, but they had made it through together. He knew there would still be challenges ahead, but for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of peace. The journey of healing and rebuilding was far from over, but Michael was ready to face it with hope and determination. Surrounded by the support of his loved ones, he knew that whatever the future held, he would be okay. And that was enough. The divorce proceedings moved forward, and the reality of the situation began to sink in for both Michael and Laura. The legal aspects of their separation were daunting, but they both knew that handling it amicably was crucial for their children's well-being. They had agreed on joint custody, ensuring that Ethan and Olivia could spend time with both parents without feeling torn. Michael's lawyer, a seasoned professional named Richard, guided him through the process. They discussed the division of assets, including their home, savings, and investments. Michael wanted to be fair, knowing that despite everything, Laura had been an integral part of their financial stability. During one of their meetings, Richard brought up a sensitive topic. "Michael, have you considered the possibility of alimony? Given that Laura has been out of full-time work for some time, she may be entitled to spousal support." Michael sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I have, Richard. I want to do what's fair, but this entire process is draining. How much are we talking about?" Richard laid out the figures, explaining the legal guidelines and potential outcomes. Michael listened carefully, feeling the weight of each decision. He knew that ensuring financial stability for Laura was necessary, but it was also a reminder of the life they were leaving behind. While the legal battles continued, Michael focused on maintaining a sense of normalcy for Ethan and Olivia. They had settled into a routine, dividing their time between their parents' homes. Michael made an effort to create a comfortable and welcoming environment in his new apartment, filling it with familiar items and adding personal touches to make it feel like home. One evening, as they sat down for dinner, Olivia broke the silence. "Dad, do you think things will ever go back to how they were before?" Michael looked at her, his heart aching at the innocence of her question. "I don't know, sweetheart. Things have changed a lot, but that doesn't mean we can find happiness and peace in our new normal. We are still a family and we'll always be here for each other." Ethan nodded in agreement. "Yeah, Olivia, we just need to take it one day at a time. We'll figure it out together." Their words provided a sense of comfort, but Michael knew that the road to healing was long and uncertain. He continued to attend therapy, both individually and with Laura, working through the complex emotions that surfaced during their sessions. They discussed their past, their mistakes, and their hopes for the future, trying to find a way to move forward. Laura's progress was slow but steady. She had started working part-time at a local bookstore, finding solace in the routine and the interactions with customers. Her therapy sessions were challenging, but she was committed to understanding her actions and rebuilding her self-worth. One afternoon, as Laura was shelving books, she received an unexpected visit from Karen. "Hey, Laura, I wanted to see how you were doing," Karen said, her voice filled with genuine concern. Laura smiled weakly. "I am hanging in there, Karen. It's been tough, but I'm trying to take it one day at a time." Karen nodded, picking up a book and flipping through its pages. "I've been thinking about what you said, about wanting to make amends. Have you considered writing a letter to Michael? Sometimes putting your thoughts and feelings down on paper can help." Laura pondered the idea, feeling a mix of apprehension and hope. "I hadn't thought of that, but it might be a good way to express myself. Thank you, Karen." That evening, Laura sat down at her desk, a blank piece of paper in front of her. She took a deep breath and began to write, pouring her heart into the letter. She wrote about her regrets, her love for Michael, and her hopes for their future as co-parents and friends. She didn't know if the letter would change anything, but she needed to try. The next day, Laura mailed the letter to Michael, feeling a sense of nervous anticipation. She didn't expect immediate forgiveness, but she hoped that her sincerity would reach him and open the door for further healing. Michael received the letter a few days later. He hesitated before opening it, unsure of what to expect. As he read Laura's words, he felt a mix of emotions, sadness, anger, but also a glimmer of understanding. Her vulnerability and remorse were evident, and he appreciated her effort to reach out. That evening, Michael called Laura. "I got your letter," he said, his voice steady. "Thank you for sharing your thoughts and feelings. It means a lot." Laura's voice was filled with relief. "I wasn't sure if it would help, but I needed to try. I am committed to making things right, Michael. I know it won't be easy, but I am willing to do the work." Michael nodded, feeling a sense of cautious optimism. "I appreciate that, Laura. We have a long way to go, but I believe we can find a way to move forward, for the sake of our children and for ourselves." As the weeks passed, Michael and Laura continued their therapy and co-parenting sessions. They faced difficult conversations and emotional breakthroughs, slowly rebuilding a foundation of trust and mutual respect. It wasn't easy, and there were setbacks along the way, but they were committed to the process. During one of their sessions, the therapist suggested a family outing to help rebuild their bond. Michael and Laura agreed, planning a weekend trip to a nearby nature reserve. They hoped that spending time together in a neutral setting would help them reconnect and create positive memories. Ethan and Olivia were initially hesitant, but they agreed to give it a try. The trip was filled with moments of laughter, reflection, and quiet conversation. They hiked through scenic trails, shared meals around a campfire, and talked about their hopes for the future. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Olivia spoke up. "Mom, Dad, I'm glad we did this. It feels good to be together, even if things are different now." Laura smiled, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm glad too, Olivia. I know we have a lot of healing to do, but moments like this give me hope." Michael nodded in agreement. "We are on this journey together, and that's what matters. We'll face the challenges and celebrate the victories as a family." The trip marked a turning point for Michael and Laura. They returned home with a renewed sense of purpose and commitment to their healing process. They continued their therapy and co-parenting sessions, focusing on their children's well-being and their own personal growth. As time went on, Michael and Megan's relationship deepened. They spent more time together, exploring their shared interests and supporting each other through the ups and downs of life. Megan's presence brought a sense of stability and joy to Michael's life, and he found himself looking forward to the future with her by his side. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Michael's apartment, Megan turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I've been thinking about us. I know we've both been through a lot, but I feel like we are building something really special. I want to be a part of your journey, and I hope you feel the same." Michael took her hand, his heart swelling with affection. "I do, Megan. You've brought so much light into my life, and I am grateful for you every day. I want us to continue building our future together, one step at a time." Megan smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "Then let us do it, Michael. Let us take this journey together, with all its challenges and joys." As they embraced, Michael felt a sense of peace and contentment. The road to this moment had been filled with pain and uncertainty, but he had emerged stronger and more resilient. With Megan by his side and the support of his children, he knew that the future held endless possibilities. In the following months, Michael and Laura finalized their divorce, each finding a sense of closure and acceptance. They continued to co-parent Ethan and Olivia, maintaining open communication and mutual respect. The healing process was ongoing, but they had found a way to move forward as a family. Michael and Megan's relationship flourished, and they began to discuss their future plans. They talked about traveling together, exploring new hobbies, and creating a home filled with love and laughter. Michael felt a renewed sense of hope and excitement, knowing that he was embarking on a new chapter of his life. As the seasons changed and time moved forward, Michael reflected on the journey he had taken. He had faced betrayal, pain, and uncertainty, but he had also found strength, resilience, and love. Surrounded by the support of his loved ones, he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them with courage and hope. And that was enough. Michael felt a profound sense of relief and anticipation as he closed the chapter on his marriage with Laura. Finalizing the divorce had been an emotionally taxing journey, but it also marked the beginning of a new phase in his life. He was determined to make the most of it, to find joy and fulfillment in his newfound freedom. With the legal battles behind him, Michael focused on building a future with Megan. They had grown incredibly close over the past few months, their bond deepening with each shared experience and conversation. Megan had become a source of strength and comfort, and Michael was grateful for her presence in his life. One sunny afternoon, Michael and Megan decided to take a road trip to the countryside. They packed a picnic and set off in Michael's car, the windows down and the wind in their hair. The open road stretched out before them, a symbol of the limitless possibilities ahead. As they drove, they talked about their dreams and aspirations. "I have always wanted to travel more," Megan said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "There's so much of the world I haven't seen yet." Michael smiled, his heart warming at the sight of her enthusiasm. "Me too. I've been thinking about taking a trip to Europe. We could explore Italy, France, and maybe even Greece. What do you think?" Megan's smile widened. "That sounds amazing, Michael. I'd love to go on an adventure with you." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, the miles passing by in a blur of laughter and shared stories. They arrived at a picturesque spot by a lake, surrounded by rolling hills and blooming wildflowers. The setting was idyllic, a perfect escape from the stresses of everyday life. They spread out a blanket and unpacked their picnic, enjoying the tranquility of the moment. As they ate, Michael found himself reflecting on how far he had come. The pain of Laura's betrayal still lingered, but it no longer consumed him. He had found a way to move forward, to embrace the future with hope and optimism. After their meal, they took a leisurely stroll along the lake, the water shimmering in the afternoon sun. Megan reached for Michael's hand, and he felt a surge of affection as their fingers intertwined. They walked in comfortable silence, savoring the beauty of their surroundings and the connection they shared. Later that evening, as they sat by the campfire, Megan turned to Michael with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I've been thinking a lot about us. I know we've both been through a lot, but I feel like we are building something really special. I want to be a part of your journey, and I hope you feel the same." Michael gazed into her eyes, his heart swelling with love. "I do, Megan. You've brought so much light into my life, and I am grateful for you every day. I want us to continue building our future together, one step at a time." Megan smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "Then let us do it, Michael. Let us take this journey together, with all its challenges and joys." As they embraced, Michael felt a sense of peace and contentment. The road to this moment had been filled with pain and uncertainty, but he had emerged stronger and more resilient. With Megan by his side and the support of his children, he knew that the future held endless possibilities. Back in the city, life settled into a new rhythm. Michael continued to work as a management consultant, finding satisfaction in helping businesses grow and thrive. He enjoyed the flexibility of his job, which allowed him to balance his professional responsibilities with his personal life. Ethan and Olivia were adjusting well to the changes. They had grown closer as siblings, supporting each other through the challenges of their parents' separation. They appreciated Michael's efforts to maintain a sense of normalcy and were grateful for his unwavering support. One weekend, Michael and Megan invited Ethan and Olivia over for a family dinner. They wanted to celebrate their new beginnings and create positive memories together. The evening was filled with laughter, delicious food, and heartfelt conversations. As they sat around the dining table, Olivia raised her glass. "To new beginnings," she said, her eyes twinkling. "May we continue to grow and find happiness together." Michael clinked his glass against hers, feeling a surge of pride and love for his children. "To new beginnings," he echoed, "and to the incredible journey ahead." The months that followed were a time of growth and exploration. Michael and Megan embarked on their European adventure, visiting Italy, France, and Greece. They marveled at the ancient ruins, savored the local cuisine, and immersed themselves in the rich cultures of each country. The trip brought them even closer, their bond strengthening with each shared experience. Upon their return, Michael felt rejuvenated and inspired. he decided to pursue a long-held dream of starting his own business. With Megan's encouragement and support, he began working on a business plan, leveraging his years of experience in management consulting. As he poured his energy into the new venture, Michael felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges and uncertainties of entrepreneurship were daunting, but he was determined to succeed. He wanted to create something meaningful, not just for himself but for his family and future generations. Megan continued to be a pillar of support, offering valuable insights and encouragement. They worked together, bouncing ideas off each other and celebrating each milestone. Their partnership extended beyond their personal relationship, becoming a powerful force in their professional endeavors. One evening, as they were working on the business plan, Megan looked up from her laptop with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, have you thought about incorporating a social impact component into the business? Something that gives back to the community?" Michael smiled, feeling a deep sense of appreciation for her perspective. "I love that idea, Megan. We could partner with local nonprofits and create initiatives that support education, job training, and community development." Megan's eyes lit up. "That sounds perfect. It's important to build something that not only succeeds financially, but also makes a positive difference in the world." Their collaboration was a testament to the strength of their relationship and their shared values. They continued to refine their business plan, infusing it with a sense of purpose and mission. As the business took shape, Michael felt a sense of fulfillment he hadn't experienced in years. He was building something meaningful, surrounded by people he loved and respected. The pain of the past was still a part of him, but it no longer defined him. He had found a way to transform his experiences into something positive and impactful. One weekend, Michael and Megan decided to visit a local nonprofit that focused on providing job training and education for underprivileged youth. They wanted to explore potential partnership opportunities and see the impact firsthand. As they toured the facility, they met with the program director, a passionate advocate named Sarah. She shared stories of the young people they had helped, highlighting the transformative power of education and job training. Michael felt inspired by the work being done and saw the potential for collaboration. "Sarah, I am really impressed by what you are doing here. I'd love to explore ways we can support your efforts through our business." Sarah smiled warmly. "We'd be thrilled to partner with you, Michael. Together, we can make a real difference in the lives of these young people." The visit solidified Michael and Megan's commitment to incorporating social impact into their business. They returned home with a renewed sense of purpose, excited about the possibilities ahead. As they worked on formalizing the partnership, Michael couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. The journey had been filled with challenges and heartache, but it had also led to growth, resilience, and new opportunities. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the people who had supported him along the way and for the new chapter he was building with Megan. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of their apartment, watching the sunset, Megan turned to Michael with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I am so proud of everything we've accomplished together. I feel like we are building something really special, both personally and professionally." Michael took her hand, his heart swelling with love. "I couldn't have done it without you, Megan. You've been my rock, my inspiration, and my partner in every sense of the word. I'm excited for our future and all the adventures ahead." Megan smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "Me too, Michael. Here's to new beginnings and endless possibilities." As they embraced, Michael felt a profound sense of peace and contentment. The road to this moment had been filled with pain and uncertainty, but he had emerged stronger and more resilient. With Megan by his side and the support of his children, he knew that the future held endless possibilities, and that was enough. Michael and Megan's relationship continued to flourish, and they found a harmonious balance between their personal and professional lives. As their business grew, so did their bond, and they began to discuss their future together in more concrete terms. Life seemed to be moving in a positive direction for everyone involved. One evening, Michael received a call from Ethan. "Dad, I have some exciting news. Olivia and I have decided to plan a surprise wedding for our parents' anniversary. We want to create a special day for you and Mom despite everything that has happened. What do you think? Michael was taken aback by the idea. Ethan, that's a beautiful thought, but are you sure it's the right time? Things have been so complicated. Ethan's voice was filled with determination. Dad, Olivia and I believe it is important to celebrate the love and commitment that still exists within our family. We want to create a day filled with joy and hope. Will you support us? Michael felt a swell of pride and love for his children. Of course, Ethan. I'll support you both in any way I can. As plans for the wedding unfolded, Michael and Laura found themselves working together more closely. They attended meetings with the wedding planner, discussed guest lists, and made decisions about the ceremony. The process was challenging, but it also provided opportunities for healing and reconciliation. One afternoon, Michael and Laura were discussing the final details of the wedding with the planner, when Laura suddenly looked at Michael with a mixture of apprehension and determination. Michael, there's something I need to tell you. Jacob reached out to me again. He's been trying to manipulate me and it's been affecting my mental state. I didn't want to burden you with this, but I feel like you should know. Michael felt a surge of anger but managed to keep his voice calm. Laura, you did the right thing by telling me. Jacob has no place in our lives anymore. I'll make sure he understands that. After their meeting, Michael called Jacob and arranged to meet him at a cafe. He knew this confrontation was necessary to protect Laura and their family. When Jacob arrived, his smug demeanor only fueled Michael's resolve. Jacob, this ends now, Michael said firmly. You have no right to interfere in our lives. Laura is trying to move on and you're not helping. Stay away from her or you'll regret it. Jacob sneered. You think you can just order me around, Michael? Laura came to me willingly. You can change that. Michael leaned forward, his eyes steely. This is your final warning, Jacob. Stay away from Laura, or I'll take legal action. You've caused enough damage. It's time to let go. Jacob's expression faltered, and he realized Michael meant every word. Without another word, he got up and left the cafe, leaving Michael feeling a mix of relief and lingering anger. As the wedding day approached, Michael and Laura focused on making the event as special as possible for Ethan and Olivia. They set aside their differences and worked together, finding moments of genuine connection and understanding. The process was far from perfect, but it marked a significant step toward healing. On the day of the wedding, the venue was beautifully decorated, filled with flowers and fairy lights. Friends and family gathered, excited to celebrate the love and resilience of the family. Michael and Laura stood together, greeting guests and marveling at the effort Ethan and Olivia had put into the event. As the ceremony began, Ethan and Olivia walked their parents down the aisle, beaming with pride. The officiant spoke about the power of love, forgiveness, and family, emphasizing the importance of cherishing each moment and supporting one another through life's challenges. During the vows, Michael and Laura exchanged heartfelt words, acknowledging the pain of the past and expressing hope for the future. Tears streamed down Laura's face as she spoke. Michael, despite everything, you have always been my rock. I'm grateful for the journey we've shared, and I'm committed to building a positive future for our family. Michael took a deep breath, his voice steady. Laura, our journey has been filled with ups and downs, but through it all, our love for our children and our commitment to our family has remained strong. I'm proud of the progress we've made, and I look forward to creating new memories together. The ceremony was a poignant reminder of the strength and resilience of their family. As they exchanged rings, there was a palpable sense of hope and renewal in the air. The guests applauded, and Michael and Laura shared a brief emotional embrace. The reception was filled with laughter, dancing, and heartfelt toasts. Friends and family shared stories of love and perseverance, celebrating the journey that had brought them all together. Megan and Michael danced together, their connection evident to everyone around them. As the evening progressed, Michael noticed that Laura seemed distant. He found her sitting alone on a bench outside, staring at the stars. Concerned, he approached her and sat down beside her. Laura, are you okay? Michael asked gently. Laura sighed, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. I'm just overwhelmed, Michael. Today has been beautiful, but it's also a reminder of everything we've been through. I'm grateful for this moment, but I can't help but feel the weight of the past. Michael nodded, understanding her feelings. It's okay to feel that way, Laura. We've come a long way, and it's natural to have mixed emotions. Just remember that we are here for each other, and we all continue to support one another. Laura smiled weakly. Thank you, Michael. Your support means more to me than I can express. As the night drew to a close, the family gathered for one final toast. Ethan raised his glass, his voice filled with emotion. To love, resilience, and new beginnings. Here is to the journey that has brought us here and the hope for a brighter future. Michael and Laura clinked their glasses together, feeling a sense of unity and hope. They knew that the road ahead would still have its challenges, but they were committed to facing them together as a family. In the days that followed, Michael and Megan continued to build their life together. They found joy in the simple moments, whether it was cooking dinner, taking walks in the park, or working on their business. Their love for each other grew stronger, and they looked forward to the future with excitement. Laura continued her journey of healing, supported by her children and friends. She found solace in her work at the bookstore and in the relationships she was rebuilding. The wedding had been a turning point, and she was determined to continue making positive changes in her life. One evening, Michael received a call from Olivia. Dad, I have been thinking about everything that happened, and I want you to know how proud I am of you. You have shown incredible strength and resilience, and I am grateful for your love and support. Michael felt a lump in his throat. Thank you, Olivia. Your words mean the world to me. I am proud of you and Ethan, too. We've all grown so much, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for us. As he hung up the phone, Michael felt a profound sense of peace. The journey had been difficult, but it had also been filled with growth, love, and hope. With Megan by his side and the support of his children, he knew that the future held endless possibilities, and that was enough. Michael and Megan's relationship continued to grow, their bond strengthening with each passing day. They spent time exploring new hobbies, traveling to new places, and working on their business, which had started to gain traction. Their life together was filled with joy and fulfillment. Laura, on the other hand, struggled to maintain her equilibrium. Despite her efforts to move on and rebuild her life, the weight of her past actions and the lingering effects of Jacob's manipulation took a toll on her mental health. She continued to see her therapist and worked part-time at the bookstore, but her progress was slow and fraught with setbacks. One day, while Megan was at work, Michael received a call from Karen. Her voice was tinged with concern. Michael, it's Laura. She is not doing well. I've been trying to support her, but she is in a really dark place right now. I think you should know. Michael felt a surge of worry. Thank you for letting me know, Karen. I'll reach out to her and see what I can do. After hanging up, Michael called Laura, but there was no answer. He left a voicemail, urging her to call him back. He knew he needed to take action, so he decided to visit her in person. As he drove to her apartment, his mind raced with concern for her well-being. When he arrived, he knocked on her door, but there was no response. Feeling a growing sense of urgency, he tried the door and found it unlocked. He stepped inside, calling out her name. Laura, are you here? He found Laura sitting on the floor in the living room, surrounded by scattered papers and photos. Her eyes were red and swollen, and she looked utterly defeated. Michael's heart broke at the sight of her. Laura, what's going on? He asked gently, kneeling beside her. Laura looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. Michael, I can't do this anymore. I feel so lost and broken. I don't know how to move forward. Michael took her hand, his voice filled with compassion. Laura, you are not alone. We are all here for you. You have to keep fighting. Let's get you some help. Laura nodded weakly, her eyes filled with desperation. I don't know if I can, Michael. Everything feels so overwhelming. Michael helped her to her feet and guided her to the couch. We'll take it one step at a time. I'm going to call your therapist and see if we can get you an emergency appointment. You don't have to go through this alone. He called Laura's therapist, explaining the situation and arranging for an urgent session. He stayed with Laura, comforting her and ensuring she was safe. The therapist arrived shortly after, and together they discussed a plan to provide Laura with the support she needed. Michael left the appointment feeling a mix of relief and concern. He knew Laura was in good hands, but the depth of her pain was evident. He called Megan to update her on the situation, grateful for her understanding and support. "Megan, I had to take Laura to her therapist. She is really struggling, and it was a tough day," Michael said, his voice heavy with emotion. Megan's voice was soothing. "I'm glad you were there for her, Michael. It's important that she gets the help she needs. How are you holding up?" Michael sighed. "It's hard, but I know it's the right thing to do. Thank you for being so supportive. It means a lot to me." As the days went by, Laura continued her therapy, and Michael stayed in close contact with her and her support network. He made sure to check in regularly, offering encouragement and reassurance. Despite the challenges, he remained hopeful that she would find her way through the darkness. However, one fateful night, Michael received a call that would shatter his world. It was Karen, her voice trembling with emotion. "Michael, there's been an accident. Laura, she's gone." Michael felt a cold wave of shock wash over him. "What happened, Karen?" Karen's voice broke. "She was hit by a car. She was out walking, and it happened so suddenly. She didn't make it, Michael. I'm so sorry." Michael felt the world crumble around him. The loss of Laura was a devastating blow, and he struggled to process the reality of it. He called Ethan and Olivia, breaking the news to them through his own tears. Their grief was palpable, and Michael felt the weight of their sorrow along with his own. The days that followed were a blur of pain and disbelief. Michael, Ethan, and Olivia gathered with friends and family to mourn Laura's passing. The funeral was a somber affair, filled with heartfelt eulogies and memories of the woman she had been. Despite the pain and betrayal, Laura had been a significant part of their lives, and her loss left a void that could never be filled. As they stood by her graveside, Ethan spoke, his voice trembling. "Mom made mistakes, but she was always there for us. She loved us deeply, and we'll always remember the good times we shared. Rest in peace, Mom." Olivia, her eyes red from crying, held her father's hand. "We love you, Mom. We'll never forget you." Michael felt a surge of emotion as he looked at his children. Despite the pain, they were standing together, united in their grief and their love for Laura. He knew that moving forward would be difficult, but they would find a way to honor her memory and continue their journey together. In the weeks that followed, Michael leaned heavily on Megan for support. She was a constant source of comfort, helping him navigate the complex emotions that came with losing Laura. They talked late into the night, sharing their fears, hopes, and dreams. One evening, as they sat on the balcony, Megan took Michael's hand. "Michael, I know this is incredibly hard, but you are not alone. I'm here for you, and we'll get through this together." Michael squeezed her hand, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you, Megan. I don't know what I would do without you." As time passed, Michael, Ethan, and Olivia began to find a new sense of normalcy. They honored Laura's memory by sharing stories, looking through old photos, and keeping her spirit alive in their hearts. The pain of her loss never fully disappeared, but they learned to carry it with them as they moved forward. Michael and Megan's relationship continued to flourish, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They supported each other through the ups and downs, finding joy in the small moments and strength in their shared experiences. One weekend, Michael decided to take a trip with Megan to a place he and Laura had always talked about visiting, but never had the chance to Yellowstone National Park. It was a way to honor Laura's memory while also creating new memories with Megan. As they stood by the breathtaking geysers and marveled at the natural beauty around them, Michael felt a sense of peace. He knew that life was unpredictable and filled with challenges, but it was also full of beauty and opportunities for growth. Megan wrapped her arm around him. "This is amazing, Michael. Thank you for bringing me here." Michael smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "I'm glad we are here together. It's a place Laura always wanted to see, and it feels right to experience it with you." They spent the weekend exploring the park, hiking through scenic trails, and taking in the stunning landscapes. It was a time of reflection and healing, a chance to honor the past while embracing the future. As they sat by a campfire on their last night, Michael looked at Megan, his heart filled with love and gratitude. "Megan, I can't imagine my life without you. You've brought so much light and joy into my world, I love you. Megan's eyes sparkled with emotion. I love you too, Michael. I am so grateful for every moment we share. They embraced, feeling the warmth of the fire and the depth of their connection. The journey they had taken together had been filled with challenges, but it had also been marked by growth, resilience, and love. As they looked up at the stars, Michael felt a sense of hope and excitement for the future. With Megan by his side and the support of his children, he knew that the road ahead would be filled with endless possibilities, and that was enough. The months following Laura's tragic death were some of the most challenging Michael, Ethan, and Olivia had ever faced. Grief was a constant presence, but they found solace in each other and in the supportive network of friends and family. Michael's relationship with Megan continued to provide him with the emotional strength he needed to navigate this difficult time. Ethan and Olivia returned to their routines, finding comfort in their studies and friendships. They also made a point of visiting their father regularly, ensuring that the family bond remained strong. Michael appreciated their support and made every effort to be present for them, understanding that they all needed each other now more than ever. One evening, Michael decided to have a heartfelt conversation with his children. They gathered in the living room, the familiar setting providing a sense of security and warmth. Ethan, Olivia, Michael began, his voice steady, I want to talk about our future. I know we've been through a lot, and I want to make sure we are all on the same page moving forward. Olivia nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. We appreciate everything you've done for us, Dad. We are here for you too. Ethan added, Yeah, Dad, we've got your back. We are a family, and we'll get through this together. Michael felt a surge of pride and love for his children. Thank you, both of you. I am so proud of how strong and resilient you've been. I want us to keep supporting each other and to find happiness in our new normal. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, with Ethan and Olivia sharing stories about their recent experiences and plans for the future. Michael listened with a sense of contentment, grateful for their presence and their optimism. Meanwhile, Michael and Megan continued to grow closer, their relationship deepening with each passing day. They enjoyed exploring new hobbies together, from cooking gourmet meals to hiking in the nearby mountains. Their shared interests and mutual support created a strong foundation for their future. One weekend, they decided to visit a local art gallery that featured the works of emerging artists. As they walked through the gallery, admiring the diverse range of paintings and sculptures, Michael felt inspired by the creativity and passion on display. Megan, I've been thinking about starting a new project, Michael said, his voice thoughtful. Something that combines my love for art and my desire to give back to the community. Megan's eyes lit up with interest. That sounds wonderful, Michael. What do you have in mind? Michael explained his idea of creating an art center that would offer workshops and classes to young people from underserved communities. The center would provide a space for creativity, self-expression, and personal growth, helping to empower the next generation. I want to create a place where young artists can explore their talents and gain confidence, Michael said, his voice filled with passion. It's a way to honor Laura's memory and to make a positive impact on our community. Megan smiled, her eyes filled with admiration. I think that's a beautiful idea, Michael. I'd love to help you make it a reality. They began to plan the project in earnest, researching potential locations, funding sources, and partnerships. The process was challenging but invigorating, and Michael felt a renewed sense of purpose and excitement. As the project took shape, Michael reached out to his network of friends and colleagues, seeking support and collaboration. He was met with enthusiasm and encouragement, and the art center quickly gained momentum. One evening, as they were finalizing the details, Ethan and Olivia joined them at the dining table. Michael shared his vision for the art center, explaining how it would provide opportunities for young artists and serve as a tribute to Laura. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. Dad, that's amazing. Mom would be so proud of you. I'd love to help out in any way I can. Ethan nodded in agreement. Count me in, Dad. This is a fantastic project, and I am excited to be a part of it. With the support of his children and Megan, Michael felt more determined than ever to bring his vision to life. The art center became a labor of love, a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of giving back. As the months passed, the Art Center opened its doors, welcoming young artists from all walks of life. The space buzzed with creativity and energy, filled with vibrant artwork and the sounds of laughter and inspiration. Michael, Megan, Ethan, and Olivia worked together to mentor the young artists, fostering a sense of community and empowerment. The grand opening of the Art Center was a joyous occasion, attended by friends, family, and supporters. Michael stood on the stage, looking out at the crowd, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and gratitude. "Thank you all for being here," Michael said, his voice filled with emotion. "This art center is a dream come true, and it wouldn't have been possible without the support of my incredible family and friends. Together we are creating a space where young artists can thrive and grow, and I am honored to be a part of this journey." The audience erupted in applause, and Michael felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The Art Center was more than just a building, it was a symbol of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of art. In the months that followed, the Art Center flourished, becoming a beacon of creativity and community. Michael and Megan continued to build their life together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They found joy in the simple moments and strength in their shared dreams. One evening, as they sat on the porch of their home, watching the sunset, Megan turned to Michael with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I've been thinking about our future. I know we've talked about traveling and exploring new places, but I also want to make sure we were building a life that is meaningful and fulfilling." Michael took her hand, his heart swelling with love. "I feel the same way, Megan. I want us to continue growing and evolving, both as individuals and as a couple. We have so much to look forward to, and I am excited to see where our journey takes us." Megan smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. "I love you, Michael. Thank you for sharing this incredible journey with me." "I love you too, Megan," Michael said, his voice filled with warmth. "Here's to our future and to the endless possibilities that lie ahead." As they embraced, Michael felt a profound sense of peace and contentment. The road to this moment had been filled with challenges, but it had also been marked by growth, resilience, and love. With Megan by his side and the support of his children, he knew that the future held endless possibilities. And that was enough. The Art Center had become a cornerstone of the community, and Michael couldn't have been prouder. It was a testament to the resilience and creativity of the young artists it nurtured, and it stood as a beacon of hope and transformation. Michael's vision had come to life, and he found immense joy in watching the students grow and develop their talents. One sunny afternoon, Michael decided to take a walk through the center, observing the various classes and workshops in session. He stopped by a painting class, where a group of teenagers were engrossed in their canvases. The instructor, a talented artist named Emily, smiled as she noticed Michael. "Michael, come join us for a moment," Emily called out, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "The students would love to hear from you." Michael walked over, feeling a warm sense of pride. "Hello, everyone. How's it going?" The students looked up, their faces lighting up with excitement. One of the young artists, a girl named Sophia, spoke up. "It's going great, Mr. Michael. We are working on landscapes today. Can you give us some tips?" Michael smiled, feeling a surge of inspiration. "Of course, Sophia. Remember to focus on the light and shadows. They bring depth and life to your work, and don't be afraid to experiment with colors. Art is about expressing yourself and finding your unique voice." As he spoke, he could see the students absorbing his words, their enthusiasm and creativity shining through. It was moments like these that reminded him of the profound impact the Art Center had on the community. After his visit to the painting class, Michael made his way to the office where Megan was reviewing some paperwork. She looked up and smiled as he entered. "Hey, how's the tour going?" Michael leaned in to give her a quick kiss. "It's going great. The students are so talented and passionate. It's amazing to see how much they've grown." Megan's eyes sparkled with pride. "You've created something truly special here, Michael. It's just wonderful to see the difference it's making in their lives." Michael nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "It is all thanks to our teamwork and the incredible support from the community. I am so grateful for everything we've accomplished together." As the day drew to a close, Michael and Megan decided to take a walk in the nearby park. The setting sun cast a warm glow over the landscape, creating a serene and peaceful atmosphere. They walked hand in hand, enjoying the tranquility and each other's company. "Megan, I've been doing a lot of thinking lately," Michael said, his voice contemplative, "about everything we've been through and the journey we've taken together. I feel so blessed to have you by my side." Megan squeezed his hand, her eyes filled with love. "I feel the same way, Michael. We've faced many challenges, but we've also experienced so much growth and joy. I wouldn't trade our journey for anything." As they continued to walk, Michael reflected on the path that had led him to this moment. The pain and betrayal of Laura's affair, the struggles of the divorce, and the tragic loss of Laura had all shaped him in profound ways. Yet, through it all, he had found strength, resilience, and the capacity to love again. One evening, as they sat on the porch of their home, Michael received an unexpected call from Rachel, his sister. Her voice was filled with excitement. "Michael, I have some wonderful news. I'm getting married, and I would love for you to be my best man." Michael was thrilled for his sister. "Rachel, that's fantastic news. I'd be honored to be your best man. When's the big day?" Rachel laughed. "We are planning for next summer. I can wait for you to meet my fiancé and celebrate with us." The conversation left Michael feeling uplifted and excited for the future. He shared the news with Megan, who was equally delighted. "That is wonderful, Michael. It's going to be a beautiful celebration." As the months passed, Michael continued to immerse himself in the work of the Art Center, finding joy in the creative endeavors of the young artists. He and Megan also took the opportunity to travel, exploring new places and creating lasting memories together. One weekend, they decided to visit a small coastal town known for its vibrant art scene. The town was filled with galleries, artisan shops, and picturesque views of the ocean. They spent their days wandering through the streets, admiring the local artwork and sampling delicious seafood. On their last evening in the town, they found a quiet spot on the beach to watch the sunset. The sky was painted with hues of orange and pink, and the sound of the waves created a soothing backdrop. "Megan, I can't imagine my life without you," Michael said, his voice filled with emotion. "You've brought so much love and joy into my world. I am so grateful for every moment we share." Megan leaned in, her eyes glistening with tears. "I love you, Michael. You've shown me the true meaning of love and partnership. I am so excited for our future together." As they embraced, Michael felt a profound sense of peace and contentment. The journey they had taken together had been filled with challenges, but it had also been marked by growth, resilience, and love. Back in the city, the Art Center continued to thrive, attracting more students and expanding its programs. Michael and Megan worked tirelessly to ensure its success, and their efforts were rewarded with the smiles and achievements of the young artists they mentored. One afternoon, as Michael was reviewing some paperwork in his office, he received a visit from Ethan and Olivia. They had both graduated from college and were excited to share their future plans. "Dad, Olivia, and I have been talking, and we have decided to start a nonprofit organization that focuses on providing art education to underserved communities," Ethan said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "We've been inspired by the work you've done here, and we want to make a difference." Michael felt a surge of pride. "That's incredible, you two. I'm so proud of your vision and your commitment to giving back. How can I help?" Olivia smiled. "We'd love your guidance and support, Dad. Your experience and wisdom would be invaluable as we get started." Michael embraced his children, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "I'm here for you every step of the way. Let's work together to create something amazing." As they began to plan the nonprofit, Michael felt a renewed sense of purpose. The legacy of the Art Center was expanding, and he was excited to see the positive impact it would have on even more lives. The months flew by, and the nonprofit took shape, gaining support from the community and beyond. Ethan and Olivia worked tirelessly, driven by their passion for art education and their desire to make a difference. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Michael looked around the table, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "I'm so proud of each and every one of you. We've faced many challenges, but we've also created something beautiful and meaningful. Here's to our future and to the endless possibilities that lie ahead. As they raised their glasses in a toast, Michael felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. The journey had been filled with twists and turns, but it had also been marked by growth, resilience, and love. Surrounded by his family and supported by Megan, he knew that the future held endless possibilities, and that was enough. Thank you for listening to this story. Subscribe to my channel, put a like under the video, and write a comment about how you like this story and what stories you want to hear.